Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Bare Truth with Danny Shimon. That's him on the right side of your screen, and me, Aldo Gandhi, on the left side of your screen. Danny, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Sitting here seeing if the Bulls can pull this one off against the Knicks. Just a little dabbling a little basketball here tonight as well as breaking down some film. Just trying to
look at you multitasking.
Multitask, exactly.
Skoke was in the chat room, and I should have known he'd be here because he has been preaching his love of Braxton Jones since before the draft. So Skokes is here to take a look at your evaluation of Braxton Jones and also of Jack Sanborn. These are two guys, one chosen in the 5th round, one an undrafted free agent who have made an impact with the Chicago Bears this season. These are the kinds of players that Ryan Poles has to continue to hit on in this upcoming offseason, right, Danny?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is, like I tweeted out earlier today, I'm like, the Bears are 3-10. We know that the season's not going anywhere, but it's not all doom and gloom. It's not an aging old roster with a lot of bad contracts that you have to kind of, get rid of. They've already done that. They've done all the heavy lifting. It's on to, getting, fresh new talent here. And so we knew that coming in this season was all about Justin Fields, right? And obviously he's been a bright spot, but I just wanted to point out, there's been some other bright spots here that some may have been noticed and some I think have gone unnoticed. And one of the reasons why, Braxton Jones I wanted to talk about is I keep hearing and seeing how the Bears need a left tackle. Well, has he had a rough moment? Sure. Has he gone through his lumps? Sure, but he's a rookie. He's a 5th round pick out of Southern Utah State, a guy that no one had heard of prior to the Senior Bowl, and he's been a day one starter so for most of camp and all throughout the season. Hasn't missed a snap at all this season, knock on wood. So I think the Bears have found themselves a left tackle. And I just wanted to kind of go through some of the things. I didn't do a deep dive into Braxton Jones, but I just want to point some of the things that I like about this kid. And I think, today we'll go ahead and break some of that down as well. And also Jack Sanborn. I know a guy that near and dear to your heart there, Mr. Aldo Gandia. I think you named him Samurai Jack, or is it Samurai Sanborn? I forgot the nickname you gave him.
Samurai Sanborn. Yeah.
There you go. So I know you're a big fan of his. I know you wanted me to do a breakdown of him along with some of our listeners as well. So we're going to go take a look at Jack Sanborn, who has impressed, I think, everyone, not only here in Chicago, but also across the football league.
Yeah, of these two players that we're looking at tonight, Sanborn surprised me the most because he was an undrafted free agent and because he came in with the reputation of not being a very athletic linebacker. But you had to, you and I saw him out at camp. His desire to play at a high level, his energy level, and what we've learned from coaches about how he studies films, and that helps his anticipation, is so admirable. This guy is a guy that I don't know, Danny, do you already have him slotted in as a starter next season?
I do. I think, and then we'll get to this when we break down his tape. But for me, everyone says Jack Sanborn is not athletic enough to be a starter. Well, you know what? He's not the great athlete like, say, Roquan Smith is. But this kid is 6'2", 234. He ran a 4.73 40 at the combine. Has a 35-inch vertical. So he's not some slouch out there at all. As well. So he's a kid that was very, very productive at Wisconsin. 228 tackles in his career, 29 tackles for loss, 11.5 sacks, 4 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles. I can keep going on and on. And the thing about what he does, though, and you will see it as we break down his tape here, is you're right. He's not the greatest athlete, but he's not slow either. But what helps him is because of his film study. You can tell this kid is into his game film. He's studying his opponent. He's got the instincts for the position. It's like he's got that neck that looks like a natural linebacker neck. I mean, this kid was made with that last name, with that neck, with that build, made to play linebacker in the NFL. And what he does is just pre-snap, post-snap, the way he diagnoses what the offense is doing. And again, I hate using that term sneaky athletic. A lot of times people use that term with white players, and I don't like using that. I try to stay away from it. But he is a sneaky athlete. He's not a slow-footed kid. He's not going to go run a 4.4, but he's a 4.7 guy who does very well, but gets himself in position to make plays, either by diagnosing the play pre-snap and then actually also getting into it post-snap, but also getting into his film study and utilizing then his instincts and whatever a God-given ability he's got go ahead and make plays. So very, very impressed by Jack Sanborn. And yes, to answer your question, I do think he should be your middle linebacker going into next year, unless you bring me a better option. Unless you show me a guy out there that's going to be better than him. There's no one on this roster that's going to be better than him. And in terms of what the Bears are going to have to go into next offseason, bringing in all these other holes, why fill a hole that looks like to be filled right now with another draft pick or a free agent if you don't have to?
Cornelius says that he agrees with you and Greg Gabriel, who have been saying now for weeks that Braxton Jones is going to be the left tackle of the future, and a very good one indeed. He's the left tackle of the present and the future. There's just no reason why this team well, let me ask you this though. If the team gets into a position this offseason where there is a tackle available who is a really good left tackle, would you then consider moving Braxton Jones to the right tackle position or even into a guard position and then playing this newly acquired left tackle who might have more experience or more upside because of a higher draft pick? What do you think about that?
I mean, you got to tell me what left tackles. Are you going to give me Trent Williams from the 49ers? I mean, he's up there in age, but he's probably the best left tackle out there in football right now. So I mean, who are we bringing in here to play left tackle for us? Are you going to go get Rashawn Slater from the Chargers? I mean, he's injured as well. So for me right now, I think going into this offseason, you have, if you're Ryan Poles, you have, and I've said this before, guys, you have 2 of the 5 positions already locked up. You have left tackle locked up. A kid that's again first-year starter, gone through lumps, has gotten better throughout the season at a 5th-round pick salary, right? So you have that premier position at a 5th-round pick salary there slotted already. I think you have Tevin Jenkins at right guard solidified. I think he's only gotten better as the season gone on as well. So I think those 2 positions are solidified, and you have to go get a right tackle, whether that's your veteran free agent, where you're going to go out there and put money towards a veteran, come in and show up right tackle, or do you want to go attack that position in the draft? Or do you have confidence in bringing back the veteran Riley Reef, who has done a yeoman's work so far, guys, after he took over for Larry Borum at right tackle, and then you have him compete with Alex Leatherwood, the guy you picked up off waivers from the Raiders, and have those guys as your right tackle. But the one position for me, guys, believe it or not, that I need an answer this offseason is center. Is Lucas Patrick your center? I don't know. I don't know if Lucas Patrick is your center. What I've seen him play, again, he's playing left guard, not what he was brought in here to play, but he has played it before. So we can't say he's just kind of thrown out there, willy-nilly here, but, he looked horrible at left guard. And, is he your center? And I have question marks there. Cody Whitehair, left guard. I said last post-game show, I said, this guy, he's just a guy at this moment for me right now. He's not horrible and he's not great, but he's making, I think, $10 million next year. So, they're not up against the salary cap. So it's not like they need to cut him to make space there. So, other than the left guard, center, and right tackle, the other 2 positions for me are set. And now you just got to kind of see what you want to do here in veteran free agency and also the draft.
Very good. All right, let's get to the tape. We're going to look at Mr. Sanborn first. First clip is right there on the screen. All I got to do is...
Yep. So this clip here, I want to show you guys here pre-snap how he reads what Aaron Jones does here when he's getting motion out of the backfield, and he's lined up in his sights, right? So what the Packers are trying to do is the Packers are trying to get Aaron Jones the ball on a quick hitting screenplay here as they go and start running it. When he motions out, Sanborn has him in his sights. Post-snap, Sanborn identifies the play quickly, and before the ball even leaves Aaron Rodgers' hands, guys, he is coming downhill, and he's zeroing in on Aaron Jones. We'll get a better angle here when we see the ball. Before the ball even leaves Aaron Rodgers' hands to go to Aaron Jones, he's already coming downhill, looking to attack and tackle Aaron Jones. Packers released 2 blockers here downfield to go ahead and lead for this play here, but he's already worked past the blockers, and he's able to get down and wrap up Aaron Jones here for a no gainer. If we go back to once you get a chance here, go back to the first view there. If he doesn't make this play right here, if you're going running right here, Aldo. If he doesn't make this tackle, guys, let it go and run through and then stop it right there. If he doesn't make this tackle, the Packers, this could be a touchdown. All right, because you have a lead blocker coming out, you have a linebacker coming in late here. So if what happens is if Aaron Jones is free here, if Sanborn misses the tackle, Aaron Jones has a lot of grass there in front of him, possibly even a touchdown. So this is a touchdown saving tackle here by Jack Sanborn. It's all because he read pre-snap what was doing with the motion, and then post-snap identify what the play was, and then came downhill before the ball is even out of Aaron Rodgers' hands on a screen play. Okay, on a screenplay, beats the lead blockers to the ball carrier, and again wraps up his ankles and allows his teammates to go ahead and rally now and make a tackle. That is something where he again processes pre-snap, identifies post-snap, and then now just comes downhill and attacks. Again, that's the kid with instincts and an ability to make plays in the open field.
J2K says that he likes to use the word processing more than instincts when it comes to Jack Sanborn. And I think that's what you were saying too, Danny, because of his tape study. He's able to process these things almost like a machine, right?
Right. He got and he's got the instincts of a linebacker. So he knows his position. He knows what he needs to do. And in order for him he sees that motion coming out in that first play right there. He sees Jones motioning out, or he identifies that he's seen something like that on that formation, that type of pre-snap motion there. He knows what they like to do sometimes. Then post-snap, once he sees what the play is being designed as the center and the guard release, he knows he's got to attack downhill quickly and get to Aaron Jones, and he does it. Again, he doesn't get there. He doesn't make that tackle. That could be a huge gainer for the Packers, possibly even a touchdown.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to the second play here. This is in the first quarter, 1st and 10 at the Bears 11.
Again, right here, he sees pre-snap. He sees the motion coming to his side, so he knows that the action is going to be coming to his left there. All right. Before the pitch has even reached Aaron Jones here, guys, on this toss sweep, he is already sprinting left, right? Does a nice job of scraping over the top, finds that seam, and then beelines it to Aaron Jones, showing again that good short area burst, and then the closing speed to be able to wrap up and bring Aaron Jones down. Again, just sees that motion, bringing that guy over. He knows that action now is coming to his left. He's got to get to that point to be able to get to the ball carrier and Aaron Jones. So, and then does a nice job of kind of just scraping over the top of all the bodies there, finding that seam, and then hitting a beeline right to the running back there.
I mean, I when this play happened, I posted my TV. I shot the video off the TV screen, and I posted it with just exalting what he did in this play. It's like he could have settled to tackle the guy after a 2-yard gain, but no, he makes this move and gets to the line of scrimmage. It's like he's saying, "No, I'm not going to let you get a single yard." It's this mentality that he has, this Butkus-like mentality that I love about this kid.
And this is where I talk about the instincts, guys. The ability to go left and then avoid contact, avoid blockers, find that seam, instinctively find that seam, and then be able to just beeline it, take a nice angle right to Aaron Jones, and then be able to wrap him up and bring him down. Again, these are plays that some might say he should be making because he's not that athletic, but that's what I'm saying. Like, he shows the athletic ability, at least to a certain extent, that he's able to make these kind of sideline tackles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think about what J2K says here? Is that Roquan has more speed, but on plays like that last one, he would get washed out.
Possibly, but yeah, Roquan has more speed. But in terms of, I think overall instincts for the position, I think Sanborn has those, right, over Roquan, right? He's, like I said, that ability to be able to get there over the top and find that seam. It's not easy because you're just going left. You're going where the play's going, and now be able to again avoid bodies, hit that seam, hit an angle where you can get to the ball carrier. Now, Aaron Jones isn't a slouch. He's a Pro Bowl caliber running back here, so be able to get there and make the tackle. That is things that impress you when you watch this kid, especially on tape, especially when you slow it down and see what he does, what he identifies, again, pre-snap and post-snap.
And Danny, when I was looking at this tape, putting these clips together for you, I just saw play after play after play where he is just doing whatever is necessary to avoid contact. And it's not that he's afraid to, bowl somebody over. and get to the ball carrier, but he's just very adept at sidestepping blockers, of, as you put it, just getting around blockers. That's a talent that he has.
Right. And again, that's him knowing how to play the position. And I keep saying this word instincts, and that's what I mean by just being able to be in and play that position in between the tackles, being able to maneuver. And again, he's not a guy that shies away from contact. And we have a couple plays here. We're going to show you that this kid is physical and he's aggressive. But what he does is he knows that if he gets tied up with the offensive lineman, he's going to get stuck there. And next thing you know, that running back's going to be going past him, 10, 15 yards on the football field. Now, imagine if he had a defensive line in front of him that was actually able to create some havoc up front. That's going to just allow him to make even more plays, possibly plays in the backfield, or more plays for where he drops the running back in the backfield for a loss. So he's got no defensive lineman up front helping him out, really, to be honest with you. It's just him kind of reading, reacting, and flowing to the ball and to the ball carrier and making plays.
Next play is the short pass play from Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, we want to throw in some examples of him here in coverage. And again, this looks like press coverage here. Does a good job of reading the quarterback's eyes in the pocket. He sees AJ Dillon running that halfback in route, or some call it the Texas route. Does a nice job of stepping up and taking that away right away from Aaron Rodgers, right? And then now he knows that he's in coverage, right? Doesn't panic, just keeps his area clean and clear, and making sure that if any receiver comes across in there, he's got to jump that route as well. So again, just showing that awareness and coverage here, being able to identify what AJ Dillon's trying to run, that the inside run, takes that away right away. Now he's just kind of floating here, making sure in his area it's clean, that nothing comes across that gives Aaron Rodgers an easy outlet route there as well. So again, just his ability to be able to drop back in coverage and show that awareness is what I wanted to spotlight here for everyone in terms of Jack Sanborn.
Overall, how would you rate him in pass coverage?
He's solid. I think he's solid. Of course, with this defense, you don't expect him to see a lot of carrying a tight end down the seam, one-on-one, man-to-man. They're probably not going to ask him to do that. If you go back to the days of Lovie Smith, where Urlacher and Briggs and those guys, they all just drop back to their landmarks. They have a certain landmark that they hit. And once they hit that landmark, you got to keep everything in front of you. Once everything's in front of you, now you just got to keep your zone clear. If something comes in, a receiver comes into your zone, you got to be able to jump it, click your heels, and come downhill and wrap up and tackle. So that's the thing about this defense, is we've talked about it before, is they try to take away the big plays, right? If you have all your guys that you need on defense there, the three technique, the edge rushers, the linebackers, what you do is you take away the big plays and keep everything in front of you, and try and make offenses kind of move meticulously down the football field. And the chances are, they're going to get antsy and they're going to try and make a big play. And that gives you an opportunity to jump a route, make an interception, or get the turnover. So, that's what he does here. At least he allows everything to stay in front of him. Now, once you flank him with better athletes around him, I think you're going to see him shine even more, in my opinion.
Danny, perhaps for me, the most amazing thing is that over the last 2 games, he's played every defensive snap. And that's one thing that I'm incredibly amazed about, because, I think many of us thought that, he's not going to be in on passing downs and so forth, but they've got him out there. They're giving him valuable experience, valuable snaps. Are you as surprised as me that he's playing every snap and over the last 2 games?
Yeah, and initially I was also kind of shocked but I have another clip here later on we're going to show you where him in zone coverage is not a liability, right? Now, are you going to put him one-on-one versus one of the premier tight ends and versus Travis Kelce? Probably not. You're not going to do that. You don't want to, you want to play him to his strengths, and him being able to drop back, keep his eyes into the backfield on the quarterback, and just kind of play that zone, get this landmark and keep everything in front of him clean. That's where he excels. He doesn't excel at lining up one-on-one versus these premier tight ends and taking them down the football field. You're on mute, Aldo. So this play here, this is the A10 play. Yeah, so this play for me exemplifies this player, guys. And this is why I think a lot of people, Chicago fans love this guy. Post-snap, identifies the run quickly, all right? Comes downhill to fill with aggression, rocks back Robert Tonyan with his physicality, then takes on the center, Myers, who's pulling to lead block for Dillon. Then he sheds both Tonyan and Myers, finds a ball carrier, and makes a tackle. I think this is what made Aldo fall in love with this kid. Watch him here. Again, comes on aggression, rocks back Tanyan, takes on Myers, sheds both, and makes a tackle on A.J. Dillon. Again, this kid, that play right there, I think exemplifies this kid's effort. And I think it's made him a fan favorite, and I think it's going to carry him on hopefully throughout his career.
And J2 captures my thinking here. He thought offensive coordinators would eat him alive on crossers, but not so. I mean, that was Nick Kwiatkowski's Achilles heel. He couldn't guard crossing passers, but Sanborn is showing that he's adept at covering those plays.
Yep, he's again coverage awareness, being able to drop back and be able to. And then but the key is quickly come downhill and wrap up and attack anything that's caught in front of him. That's I think the key there as well. But also again, I keep saying this word, instincts, be able to know what's going on, read and diagnose. That's so huge, because it puts them in position to make plays or position to make tackles on the football field.
Very cool. Let's move on to this short pass to Allen Lazard.
Again, though, so this one here, I just want to display his coverage awareness, his ability to kind of drop back to his landmark that we talked about earlier, right? And just, play an area, keep your area clean, and then just everything in front of you. And then once something is caught in front of you, react quickly, bam, put your feet in the ground and come downhill and attack quickly. And I think with this play to Lazard here, you see him, he's kind of scoping, he's got his landmark, he's got dropped back to his landmark. He's kind of scoping his area, making sure nothing comes in his area. And all of a sudden to his right, Lazard pops out, and then now you see him just kind of come downhill, crash, and make the tackle. So I think that, again, that's just showing some of his versatility in terms of his ability to play some zone coverage here as well. I think you're on mute, Aldo.
Yes, I am. I'm having a hard time with my mute button today. So pass coverage is a plus. His run coverage is a plus. The guy is smart. The guy is got the attitude of roughness that is part of the Chicago Bears tradition at the linebacker. What faults does he have?
I think what if this kid was a second round pick, no one would be questioning all this stuff. But because he was undrafted, right? Because he was undrafted, I was like, oh, there's got to be a reason why he went undrafted. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, mistakes are made in the draft process, right? Guys slip through the cracks. We've seen it throughout the history of the NFL draft. For whatever reason, no one saw worthy enough to use a draft pick on Jack Sanborn. At this point, you can kind of take that with a grain of salt initially, but once he puts this on tape week in and week out, when after he took over for Roquan Smith, I believe Sanborn, correct me if I'm wrong, Sanborn leads the NFL in tackles from that point on. So he puts this on tape week in and week out. Opponents see this guy week in and week out, and you'll think they're not kind of aware where he's at, know how to play him, but he's still making plays here and there. So once these next 4 weeks, I mean, we talked about Justin Fields, and these next 4 weeks kind of going against these big opponents coming up here, these playoff teams, potential playoff teams. Sanborn's going to be a guy I'm going to keep an eye on as well, because I want to see how he fares against these high power offense coming up with Philadelphia this week, and then Buffalo next week, and then we potentially Detroit and Minnesota the following 2 weeks. So that's another guy I'm keeping an eye on as well. Not just Justin Fields, but Sanborn. I want to see how he holds up. These are going to be some offenses that could test him, and I want to see if that production fails, does he succeed? Does he continue to rise? Or does he take his lumps here as a rookie? Again, just kind of learning from what's going on around him here. Unfortunately, the guys around him on his unit aren't that great in terms of other guys in front of him. So it's sometimes it feels like it's just Sanborn by himself out there making tackles. So we'll see how they fares. But that's another key thing with these next 4 weeks is the better opponents. I want to see how these kids fare against these upper level or more competitive football teams.
All right, let's move on. We've got a A.J. Dillon run here.
Yeah, so when I first saw this play, I'm like, oh man, I go, oh, that was a bad play by Sanborn, just a rookie mistake, took the wrong gap, But after running it over, you can see him here. You can see him, coming in, and it's inside zone blocking here by the Packers, right? So Sanborn's coming downhill to fill his run fit. Zach Tom, who's a rookie playing left tackle, chips and releases onto Sanborn, and then Dillon just kind of cuts off that block. For me, it's not Sanborn that messed up here. It's Dominique Robinson who failed to sustain the edge there and gets turned around and wiped out of the play. So, that gives Dillon that big, huge alley there to run through. So initially I said, oh, this is something that we can mark down for Sanborn, but no, that's Robinson. Again, this is something that's been happening or hampering the Bears defense throughout the season is these defensive ends are unable to maintain their gap integrity, their position, and maintain a hard edge in the run defense. And as you hear, Robinson, obviously just a rookie as well, gets easily washed out of the play. Sanborn actually is actually taking up a blocker there because he came down to fill that running lane. And once Tom releases on him, Dylan bounces off of that block, and then he finds that big alley there because, again, Robinson wasn't able to maintain the edge. So, again, but Sanborn does his job, in my opinion, here after rewatching this on the all 22. It's not the initial reaction I had, which was, oh, Sanborn picked the wrong lane, rookie mistake. You're on mute.
Dominic Robinson is somebody that I am really interested in watching over the next 4 games because I'd love to see a big incremental improvement game by game by game because after a really nice start to the season, it seemed like a game after Robert Quinn was traded, perhaps all of a sudden he felt all this pressure. He's going to get all these snaps. He has not played at a level that I was hoping to see in that progression. He's still a rookie. And as you've pointed out in past shows, this guy played quarterback, wide receiver. So he hasn't had a lot of experience at the defensive line position, but nonetheless, I would like to see him play better than we've seen him play the last few weeks.
Yeah. For me, he's been exposed, right? He's a 5th round pick, made a splash first couple of weeks with a sack and a half. And I think, but his role initially this year should have been just a situational pass rusher. A guy would come in on passing downs and supply some speed off the edge. But, he's obviously been thrust into a starting role with the trade of Robert Quinn, some injuries. So again, he's just been exposed right now. And he's not ready to be a full-time defensive end. So I think, hopefully that's a position that they go out there and they attack in free agency or the draft or whatnot. And you bring him and they put Robinson, who I'm not down on him. I'm not saying he's a bad pick or anything like that. I just think he's been exposed. And I think they need to put him back into a situation or a role that suits him, right, to his strengths. And that's rushing the quarterback, pinning your ears back and going after the quarterback, after the passer on passing downs. And that's where I would let him then just kind of build from there, right? Obviously, he's going to have an offseason this year with the Bears, the program, which is going to put on some weight, get stronger, continue to work on his technique. The guy's got the get off. The guy's got the size, the length you want. It's just a matter of getting stronger, getting better in terms of as a run defender, and then becoming more, mastering your craft, if you will, in terms of as a pass rusher. Getting your hands and all the repertoire down pat. I think that's the guy that you can kind of slowly and surely bring along here. But just putting him as a starter, you can see the kid's in over his head right now.
All right, let's move to our last play of the Jack Sanborn series that we have. Take it away.
And again, this is showing him in coverage here, guys. And this play here is Sanborn by himself takes away 2 options for Aaron Rodgers, right? Starts off first on Tunyon and what looks to in the middle of looks to be like a zone defense here in the middle of the football field. He carries Tunyon down to the seam and then he releases him to his safeties and then jumps on Lazard, crossing his face in the middle there. Again, this shows me the coverage awareness we talked about, the instincts, that word again, to know when to release Tunyon and when to jump on Lazard. And single-handedly, if you watch this again here slowly, he takes away Tunyon, all right? So that's not an option for Rodgers. Releases Tunyon. Now he sees Lazard coming across, takes away Lazard, and finally Rodgers has to just dump it off to the other tight end there, and it bounces into him. It's an incomplete pass. So he single-handedly, for me, after watching this play, took away 2 options for Rodgers and forced an incompletion there. So that for me was Jack Sanborn on that play. You're on mute again, Aldo. we're gonna have a mute jar. Every time you're on mute, you gotta put like $5 in.
Yeah, I already owe you $50. Sorry, fellas. Jack Sanborn, what a pleasant surprise. And again, I can't stress enough how much more we need to find these gems. I'm looking forward to draft on tap. I'm looking forward to free agency. I'm looking forward to the NFL draft. It's going to be an exciting 4-5 months to start the 2023. All right.
Yeah, that's what we've been looking for. We're coming into the season. At least I speak for myself here. I came in looking for Justin Fields to show improvement. I've seen that. I'm good there. I know that. Now I'm just looking for a little gems here on the roster. And so far, like I said, 2 of these guys we found so far. And now after the season ends, now you start getting into free agency. Now you're gonna start getting into some veteran here on this roster, and then going into the draft. So yeah, it's going to be an exciting offseason here for Bears fans.
Yep. Let us start talking about Braxton Jones. I put down on this graphic here that Skokes loved him before all of us did. He's 22 years old, 6'5", 344 pounds, and again, a 5th-round draft pick.
Right. And then Braxton Jones, I've told the story before. Like I went down to Senior Bowl and I had not heard of the kid, to be honest with you. And I saw him at practice. I'm like, oh, who's this kid from Southern Utah State? And I saw his size, I saw his length, and I saw the athletic ability, the feet. And then I'm like, all right, so this guy's got some potential here. Had a rough game in the Senior Bowl game, but then, obviously went to the combine, 6'5", 310. I love his length, 35 plus inch arm length. I'm all about my arm length for my left tackles and athletic ability. And Jones has that. Quick feet, has got the length, he's got the size, and he's got the temperament as well to play left tackle. Just kind of going through his rookie season so far, started off a little bit rough, kind of smooth out a little bit, got a little bumpy there as well. But ever since that Washington game, I want to say it's been kind of smooth sailing. I think he's gotten more and more of the mistakes out of his game, and he's kind of become a little more steady Eddie there over on that left side, protecting Justin Fields' blind side.
And it was interesting at this week's press conference, Eberflus was asked about Braxton Jones, and he says, yeah, the one thing we want to see improvement on is him handling that bull rush, which to me appears to be the only big blemish in his game right now.
Which will come once he gets stronger. He's a little light in the pants. He's only 310. So I like to see him up at that, maybe about 320, maybe 325. We'll see it. What they think in terms of what his and it's good fat, not bad fat. So it's added muscle, and just to be able to get that core strength up there, and just be able to handle some of these bull rushers. Even though he has gotten better using his length and his technique in the second half of the season, taking on some of those bull rushers, but not like he was in the past. And we'll get into a couple of those examples here in the film here shortly.
All right, well, let's do it now. This is the first play we got for you.
All right, the first play here, so this is what I like about him. I like the fact that he jump sets and he attacks Sweat here, or right off the bat here, uses his long arms to control Sweat, and then gets into his frame. All right, that's what I want to see. I want to see you being aggressive, Braxton Jones. I want to see you being able to take it to these defensive linemen. And now he uses Sweat's momentum to go ahead and ride him upfield and right past the quarterback. The only reason Justin Fields had to scramble is because Lucas Patrick and David Montgomery aren't able to control Jonathan Allen. But it wasn't Braxton Jones' fault here. He does a nice job again, just jump setting, being aggressive, taking it to the defensive end, and then using his length and the defensive end's momentum to kind of ride him up the football field and get him away from the quarterback. So that's something that I do like to see him do there as well, because again, he's athletic, he's got the length, and then now you could just kind of let them kind of ride themselves right out of the play, right past the pocket. And then you have a quarterback, of course, if it does break down, if it does scramble a little bit, he can get away from the pressure and make something happen with his feet. So, but again, that for me was something where, in a game that he struggled in, there was that nice spot right there where, again, he brought the aggression to a defensive end, and I like seeing that. I like seeing him get aggressive. There are times where he doesn't show that much aggression, and that's something I want him to kind of work on here as he gets, as he prolongs his career in the NFL. The other thing is his hands. He doesn't shoot them. And the timing isn't always on point. Now, that's something he's gonna have to work on, probably with better coaching and work on his technique and all that stuff. So those are a couple of things that some coaching tips that he's gonna probably have to work on in the off season.
So when you say the timing with the use of his hands is not on point, can you with the little video screen that you have of you, can you show us what you're talking about?
Well, I've got a couple of clips here where you can see hit the timing of his hands when he shoots, because he's got 35-inch arms. And that's why I love my left tackles with long arms, or my tackles with long arms, because I want them to shoot their arms, be aggressive, and get inside the chest plate of a defensive lineman. As long as you keep the defender off your frame from riding you by using his muscle, his power into your chest, he's not going to be able to pull you over. So just rock him first. Shoot your arms out, get into his chest, and then control him that way. And now you have the athletic ability to be able to move your feet laterally left and right. Now you can mirror him in pass protection. So there's a couple of samples here. I'm sure we'll show you here where I can point out he's late in terms of punching.
All right, take it away. Next play.
So in this play here, I just wanted to kind of show his pass pro awareness here. All right. When this play starts off, he's expecting Cole Kmet to go ahead and chip and release on Sweat, and he should be one-on-one. However, Sweat and Deron Payne, they run a TE stunt, and Payne now is literally being shoved into Jones. And again, he shows enough awareness here to pick him up, lock him up, by playing long with his arms, moving his feet, and then being able to stop that bull rush. All right. So again, it's just that ability. He's kind of shoved right into his face there. He's kind of waiting for Sweat to come at him. But again, Payne gets shoved in because of that stunt. But he does a nice job of recovering quickly and being able to kind of lock out his arms. And here you see kind of get that wide base and being able to kind of thwart the bull rush of Payne and not allowing him to get to the quarterback. Whenever my offensive lineman keeps his frame or his body in between the defender and my quarterback, that's a win for me. So that's how I grade him. So that to me was something that I caught up on tape where, again, he's just kind of thrown into him, was expecting one thing, something else happened post snap, but he recovers nicely on a guy, Deron Payne, that's, I think, 8-10 sacks now in the NFL. He's a guy that's annihilating offensive linemen here in the NFL, and a guy that a lot of Bears and Bears fans want to see wearing that that C on his helmet next year in the middle of our defensive line. So again, nice job of recovering after being shocked initially by that tackle and stunt there, and then being able to recover and then keep him away from Justin Fields. So that's one thing I want to highlight here in this play. You're on mute.
To move on to the next play.
All right, so here, this play here, this is where he gives up a pressure, right? And this looks like the Bears are running a no huddle. It appears here. We're going to run it real. Yeah, it looks like they're running a no huddle here. The offense is trying to hurry up and snap it, and it just looks like Jones almost looks like he wasn't even really set there. So we're here. This is a good example here, although where his hands are late. Right, he allows Sweat to get into his chest, and his Sweat now is able to kind of get him off balance and walk him into Fields. Again, he should have shot earlier, got into Sweat's chest and be able to control that chest plate. But because his eyes are late, all right, the quick snap threw him off. So now his pass set timing is all off, and his arms are late to shoot, and then he's got a narrow base. His footwork is all over the place, and what happens? He gets walked right back into Justin Fields. Now, the end result is a touchdown, right? But this is something that I marked a negative mark for him because, again, whether it's the quick snap, I don't remember what happened, but he wasn't ready for the snap. It looked like, and it just kind of caught him off guard, and that threw everything off. Threw off his timing, and to shoot his arms, it threw off his pass set. It was too narrow, and then again his footwork was all over the place. So then that's the end result. Right there is Montez Sweat just walks him right back into Justin Fields. You're on mute.
The other thing about that play is that Sweat was walking towards the line of scrimmage and almost had like not a running start, but he had momentum going towards the left tackle Braxton Jones, and that helped him. I think with the power move that
right. It just looked like he wasn't ready. I don't know if it was they're running a hurry up or whatnot, but it just like he wasn't set to go, and then Sweat was kind of like you said getting into position, and once the ball was snapped, Sweat was going upfield, and Jones was kind of like trying to recover there. So I think that could have led to it, and I think that for sure threw off his timing there.
All right, here's our next play.
And this play here again, we want to stress his athletic ability at 6'5", 310 pounds. Notice where he's at here. He's all the way lined up all the way on the left hash mark, guys. All right. Jones is able to go ahead, once you run it here, you see Jones pick up Dean Lowry. He's able to lock him up with his arms, shuffle his feet, and maintain his blocking all the way to past the right hash mark. Okay. Again, this is a kid who's got the ability to go ahead and maintain his blocks going across from one hash mark to the other. Okay. At any point, if he loses this block, Dean Lowry's got a straight shot at Justin Fields. And the other thing is he avoids somehow Kenny Clark that's coming in, kind of looping in behind him there, maintains, his feet, it doesn't get knocked off his block, maintains it all the way across, like I said, to the opposite hash mark, and is able to, keep Justin Fields clean in the pocket here. So, that again shows me his athletic ability to be able to, again, maintain his balance, his feet, maintain that block, and again, keep himself in between the defender and the quarterback. That's a heck of a block and a win for me.
The other thing about this play is that it shows Justin Fields' improvement in the pocket, where he's now, weeks ago, he would have gone with his shoulder, moved it towards the line of scrimmage, and then taken off. But he stood in that pocket with all of that traffic in front of him, and he made that fantastic throw. So
it's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
You know why? You know why I think it's happening? Because he's getting, he's getting trust in his offensive line, and that started to happen when Braxton Jones started getting better, and when you put Riley Reef at right tackle, and then Tevin Jenkins started taking off at right guard, right? And now you have a formidable offensive line, a line that's becoming a cohesive unit, and now the quarterback has more or confidence that he's not going to get killed every single time he drops back to throw. Now there are still times where we'll have an example come up here where I felt like he held on to the football a little bit too long. Justin did, he's got to kind of take some of what the defense gives you, and we'll get into the next clip here. But and that's another thing that these next 4 games are going to show me is, all right, we're going to have some hell of a pass rushers coming at you here with the Eagles, and then with the Bills, and then if Detroit and then Minnesota, assuming Minnesota's playing for something in that last game, you're going to have some pass rushers coming at you, and I want to see if that confidence in the pocket to be able to stay back there and go through his progressions and make a throw, if that continues to go on the uptick here, as we saw, the last couple of weeks here with Justin. So those are the things I'm looking for. Part of the things I'm looking for here in the next 4 games.
Jay Sanders is still not convinced that Braxton Jones is the future left tackle. Is there anything that you can say to Jay that would appease him or make him feel better?
I mean, I'm just going through some of the examples here. I understand he's probably still just maybe listen to some of these guys on the radio or whatnot, whatever he's listening to and watching. But you got to watch us here on the bar room as we break it down for you guys. We're showing you the tape here. We're told you first 6 weeks, he was up and down, a little shaky, but after that Washington game, I think he's just gotten progressively better and better and better. Now, is he a finished product? By no means, but he's definitely showed the athletic ability, the size and length to be able to and the durability, which of course is a key here as well, to be able to be your starting left tackle of the future. And I like I said, to me, he's my lockdown left tackle. And then I just move on to the other positions that I talked about earlier in terms of my question marks along that offensive line.
Danny, when you went back and looked at some of his college tape, why do you think that he was a 5th round draft pick and not drafted earlier?
Played against competition that Southern Utah State wasn't really top level competition. You watch his tape, you can see he's a guy that's athletic, it's big, and a lot of times you just it's kind of just instinct that he should be winning these games. He should be winning these one-on-one battles against the guys he's going up against, right? He's not going up against NFL talent. That's why at the Senior Bowl, when he had the one-on-ones, and that's where he caught my eye, was because he's going up against SEC guys, he's going against ACC guys, he's going against Power 5 guys here, and he's holding up his own, especially on those one-on-ones. Now, during the practices, you saw some issues there. During the game, you saw some issues there. But again, it's things that he's just getting more accustomed, more familiar with. But once he came into camp, I mean, and the coaches saw it. The coaches saw he was the best option for them at left tackle early on, right? Was it 2nd or 3rd week of camp? They inserted him at left tackle, and he hasn't looked back since then. So, that tells me that the confidence that the coaches have in him is what I'm seeing on tape as well. So he's just going to continue to get better. Again, he's going to get stronger. He's going to work on his technique. He's going to have a whole offseason here with the Bears. And again, God willing, he stays healthy. But I think this is your left tackle of the future. And to find him in the 5th round, it's a huge, huge, huge get there for Ryan Poles.
All right, let's move on to the next play.
So this play, that there's a ton of things I want to point to you guys. So we have to run this a couple of times here, Aldo. But first of all, again, Jones is late here with shooting his arms out, right? Again, this allows Hollins, a pass rusher, to get into his frame, and we're going to see what happens once he gets into his frame. He's able to kind of rock him back, and Jones is not set. He's not in a good position here, right? So we'll see here as we run it. His hands are going to be late to shoot here, and Hollins is going to get into his chest. Now, Jones somewhat recovers nicely and is able to kind of loop Hollins, back, but then he loses him at the last second there, as Justin then forced here to go ahead and scramble, right? So first thing is, again, arms for me are late, all right? He's got to shoot, and he's got to control Hollins at the point of attack. Second thing is, if you're an offensive lineman, in a defender, you're taught, if a defender leaves their feet, you rock them, you bury them, right? And there's a split second here. It's real quick. You don't probably see it on the actual live footage, but here, right there, Hollins jumps. At that point, you shoot your arms, you knock that guy off balance, and you bury him into the ground. So that's the one thing that that's something that Jones, I want to see him get better at. Whenever a defender leaves his feet, you bury him and you bury him into the ground there. So that's one thing I want him to get better at. The third thing is, if we run this real quick, Justin Fields could have helped him out here. All right. Justin could have taken that check down to David Montgomery. This was a 2nd and 11. Okay. And this is what we were talking about. Actually, this is what Eberflus and guys were talking about this week during the press conferences was, we know Justin can make this particular plays down the football field, but take those check downs, take what the defense is giving you, get rid of the football. It's 2nd down, maybe Montgomery right there, easy check down. You get rid of that football. He gets 5-6 yards. Next thing you know, it's 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3. Instead, you have to scramble. And right there, bam, get rid of the football. That's Montgomery there for a check down. You get 5-6 yards, but now you have to scramble, and now you take an unnecessary hit. So these are the areas that I want to see Justin kind of get better at, right? He's always looking to make that big play, to try to make the splash play, and that's just the competitor he is. That he's a big play guy, but at times he's going to have to kind of tame that down. Now, if this is a last game play of the game, it's 4th down. You got to make a play here, or else you're going to lose the football. I totally understand. He's not taking that check down. He wants to try and make a big play down the football field or make something happen. Fine, but it's 2nd and 11. It's the 3rd quarter. Now your offensive left tackle is giving up a pressure. You could help them by just taking that check down, get the 4 or 5 yards, 6 yards, whatever Montgomery would have gotten. And now you move on to 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 3, and then you can go ahead and get that 1st down and continue to drive movement. So that's something that I caught on tape where Justin still is looking for that big play sometimes, looking for things to happen down the football field. So hopefully once he develops better, he'll get more understanding in terms of let's take what defense gives us. Let's live on to the next play. Now, when you bring in more weapons on the outside that can create some separation, that can be some big beasts on one-on-one out there, now you throw the ball up, and now you start making plays on a football field, giving them some more time to go ahead and get open. But as of right now, you already know you have a limited receiving core, especially with Darnell Mooney out, right? So just go ahead and take what the defense gives you, and let's just move on and save those hits. You do not want to, especially he's coming off a shoulder injury. You don't want to take those unnecessary hits there. So I think that was one thing there where Justin could have helped Jones and helped himself as well. So that's something I wanted to point out on that play too. You're on mute.
Oh, sorry, man. It's been a bad day. So I know you started to look at some players on a draft guys that might be of interest to the Bears. Is there a name that you'd like to introduce to us today that perhaps we have not been talking a lot about? And I also want to let you ask you about what you thought about Todd McShay today, making the claim that the kid out of Georgia, the defensive tackle, who's the consensus number 1 3 tech coming out, has been having some character issues.
I heard that.
Yeah,
I heard that. I haven't heard anything, to be honest with you, but I also haven't delved into making my phone calls and making the rounds yet to see. But as of today, I had not heard of anything or character issues. That was the first time I've heard anyone say anything about Jalen Carter in terms of character issues. Now, I do know what Jalen Carter does on the football field. He plays with an attitude. He's got some nastiness in him, right? There are times where you see him maybe doing something that might not be, if he gets caught, it could be a penalty, right? But so he's got that in him. But I like that in my defensive lineman. So it's not something I say is a red flag. However, what McShay is talking about, I don't know. I haven't heard anything. So I'm sure as we get into the process, more and more will come out. But also, we can make some phone calls and see if we can get into in terms of what is actually going on here. But I personally had not heard of anything up until McShay mentioned it in terms of any sort of red flags for Jalen Carter.
Well, that's the amazing thing. Nobody heard. This was like a shock, and he just drops this down in the middle of a show, and now the headlines are like, nobody knew anything. What's he talking about? He didn't provide any context. He didn't say, there was an incident that he did this or did that. He just said character issues. There's concerns about character issues, and then let it go, which to me is irresponsible from a reporter to just drop that down without any proof or any context whatsoever.
It's one thing if a team releases it through anonymous sources because they want the kid's stock to fall so they could possibly be there for them. That's one thing. That's a game that these NFL teams have played throughout the years How many times Warren Sapp was supposed to be a top 10 pick, and then all of a sudden day of the draft, it leaks out he failed the drug test, right? How did it leak out? Because a team wanted him to fall down to them. So this game has been played over and over again. So, we'll see. This is all going to get vetted out. It's all going to come out. As he goes through the draft process, I'm sure he'll be asked about stuff. So, it'll eventually all come out. But yeah, to answer your question, I had not heard of it. And to me right now, if I'm the Bears, and I think right now we're third. So if I'm at the Bears right now, and Seattle's got the second pick, assuming they go Jalen Carter, all right, they go, because they need a defensive lineman as well. If the Bears, you're sitting there at number 3, hopefully you have teams calling you or wanting to trade up and try and get a quarterback or something like that. But if not, I got to sit down and really think long and hard about Will Anderson. And the reason I'm thinking long and hard about him, initially my thought was he's not going to fit for this, not a fit for this defense. However, you kind of go back and say, all right, you need pass rushers, right? And he is the premier pass rusher in this draft. And if you're Matt Eberflus and if you're Alan Williams and you say, I need pass rushers, and if assuming there's no trade, assuming you're stuck at number 3, no one's giving you the king's ransom for your 3rd pick, and you got to sit there, and Jalen Carter's already gone, and Will Anderson staring at you, you got to find a way to make it fit. You got to find a way to make it work. And I think Anderson is a guy who, with his frame, he could add some weight and can bulk up. And the way I'm looking at it is a Von Miller type, right? Where Von Miller is not an ideal defensive end, but he plays in a 4-3 right now with Buffalo. He played in a 4-3 last year with the Rams, and he's used as a defensive end with, a lot of times they go in this hybrid mode where they stand them up, and a 2-point stance. So there's different ways you could utilize them, but the ability to provide pressure on the quarterback is something that you really have to look long and hard at. But if you're sitting there and you're staring Jalen Carter and Will Anderson, I got to go Jalen Carter just because of the position need here at defensive front, and because that kid is a beast up front. But you asked me earlier if there's guys that I'm looking at that none of us may have heard, but I'm assuming you're talking defense, right? We're gonna go defense tackle, and as a kid that out of USC, Tuli Puluto, I don't know, mess up the name. He's a junior. I don't think he's declared yet, but he's playing out of position now. They're playing him as a 5 technique, as a hand in the ground defensive end. He's a 3 technique all day. 6'3", 285, twitchy. This kid is twitched up. He might come in a little bit shorter than what you want, right? But he's a guy that's got the quickness. He's got the solid athlete. I've seen him dropping out back in coverage, and being able to show the hip flexion, the quick feet to go laterally, a guy for 285 pounds. So he's got the athletic ability, production off the wazoo, 44 tackles this past year, 21 tackles for a loss, 12 and a half sacks, 2 forced fumbles. You put this kid in the middle of your defensive line. Obviously I wouldn't do it in a top 5. I'm saying this is a guy, maybe second round, right? So just to kind of clear it up here. I'm not saying he's going to go top 5, but maybe a guy maybe in the second round. Right now, I see him as a second round kid. He might move his way up to the first round. We'll see how it goes through the whole draft process. But that's a kid. Tuli from USC is a kid to keep an eye on at defensive tackle.
All right, we'll take a look at some of his tape. Some questions here have come in. Who's the odd man out on the offensive line? Is it Larry Borum, Sam Mustipher, both of them? Jay Sanders wants to know.
Yeah, for me, both, Jay. They're both gone. Mustipher, if you want to bring him back as a backup, I'm okay with that. But I think, he's going to want to move on most likely. Again, center is a spot that I have circled as a high area of need, not a first round need, maybe not even a second round need. Once you get to 3rd, 4th round is where I would look at center. Again, how confident are you, the Bears brass, coaching staff, and Lucas Patrick as your starting center? I'm not, to be honest with you. Now, to be fair, I haven't seen him play center, right? When he moved to center, he got hurt. He was done for the year. So I will cut him some slack there, but he's not a guard, and I don't want to see him lined up at guard anytime soon. But the question is to the Bears. For me, it's a huge question mark. For the coaching staff, how much do you trust Lucas Patrick? Now, does he start off next year as your starting center? You bring in some guy in the 3rd, 4th round and kind of like weed him into the lineup. That could happen as well. But as we touched on it earlier, Borum and Mustipher can go. Borum could be a nice backup guard, depending on what you want to do with him. Could play some swing tackle there as well. But yeah, neither one of those guys is a starting offensive lineman for me next season.
What do you think? J2K says that Kalijah Gansey from Pitt is become his second best 3 tech in this draft. Have you
Yeah,
had a chance to look at him?
I haven't broken him down yet. I did look at briefly at him, and I do like him off the cuff. I do like Cansey, but I just got to do some more digging in terms of his tape, in terms of the fit in the scheme. The big thing with me with these interior guys, the 3 techniques is twitchiness. Is he twitched up? There's a kid in Clemson that a lot of everybody likes, Brian Bresee. I don't see him as a fit here with the Bears. He could play one technique for me. That's fine. But the kid's got medical flags off the football field. He doesn't have much production on the football field. He's a guy that's got some size. He could possibly, I think I see him more as a 5 technique at this next level than opposed as a guy that plays inside 3 technique. So I'm looking at quickness. I'm looking at agility. I'm looking at his ability to be able to affect both the run and the pass. Does he have the ability to go ahead and get skinny and get in the gaps and penetrate and get upfield and make plays? So, there's a ton of guys I'm looking at. There's actually a kid, a sleeper, a guy on the day 3 that I kind of came across. Someone dropped his name to me, and I kind of looked him up, and he's plays for Northwestern. And I'm going to butcher his name. I know I am. And I have it here.
I've seen him. I've seen him on some of my mock drafts. I've started to do a little research on him. Yeah, it's like
he's a day 3 guy. He's not a day 1 or day 2 guy for me. Day 3 guy. Again, another guy's playing out of position. They play my defensive end. He's a inside defense tackle for me. But it's going to come in by a 6'1", 6'1.5", 260. I don't want to mess it up. Do you know how to pronounce it, Aldo? I don't want to mess it up. Double A is a good short nickname for him, but it's Adebore. I think it's his last name. It's from Northwestern. 38 tackles this year, 9 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, compressed, athletic body, good motor, hustles all over the place. This guy will fit the hits criteria that Eberflus set out there, as will Thule, the guy from USC. He hustles all over the place as well. But yeah, quick feet, shows the hip flexibility. Again, solid first step quickness, can show the ability to penetrate, get in between the center and the guard, and get upfield and make penetration in the backfield. So that's a guy to keep an eye on day 3 as a possibility as well. So there's a ton, we're just kind of scratching the surface here. Obviously, we're still in season here, so I'm kind of going through and just getting the lay of the land, and then we dive deeper into these prospects. We'll come up with some more names here for you guys.
I know I was reaching for that mute button. It seems to get smaller and smaller all the time. Let's tackle a couple of other questions before we get out of here. And one is Laz is asking about Quentin Johnson, the receiver from TCU.
Everybody likes him. I'm not that high on Quentin Johnson, guys. And I hate to do this. I hate to say this, but I see Kevin White all over again. And not that he's got any sort of history in terms of injuries or anything like that, but it's just, once I've seen him play, he's got the size. He's, I think, about 6'2", 6'3", 200 plus pounds, shows the, good speed. I think he's about a 4.5 guy. They claim he's a 4.4 guy. I don't know. We'll have to see that. But, he's a guy that gets downfield, huge catch radius, has made big plays, is going to be on a national spotlight here in the college football playoffs as he's going up against Michigan. So we'll see him, see if he can shine there. But I'm not as high as some of the national media are on Quentin Johnston. And actually, my guys at receiver, the guy that I'm loving right now is Jordan Addison. Again, he's a guy that's had an up and down year this year. He was a Biletnikoff winner last year at Pitt with Kenny Pickett. Transferred to USC, had an up and down year because of injuries. But he's a guy, not a big body guy, maybe like 5'11", 6 feet. But he's in and out of his routes quick. He's a guy that can go over the middle, shows toughness, be a nice compliment, I think, to if you have a Chase Claypool. You got Chase Claypool, now you got Darnell Mooney, now you got a Jordan Addison. Another guy I love a lot, guys, is Zay Flowers from Boston College. Quick twitch guy, makes big plays on a football field. Not a huge guy, I believe, because he's going to come in around 5'10", maybe 5'10 and a half. I think under 200 pounds is what I'm thinking he's going to come in under. But again, another guy just makes plays. And when I watch him, I just think of Stephon Diggs. And that's who kind of the comp I see when I watch him play. Guys in and out of his routes quickly, makes big plays on a football field, is not scared. Cedric Tillman from Tennessee. The guy was hurt a lot this year because of his ankle, but he's the thunder, if you will, to the lightning that Hyatt is. He's a guy that's more physical at the catch point, pretty good after run after the catch. Cedric Tillman is a guy from Tennessee, and then obviously you got Hyatt, who won the Blitnikoff. He gives you that speed. He gives you that 4.3, 4.4. He's probably going to run the 4.3 or 4.4 at the combine, and you can see that on film. You see it, but he's a slender build. He's a guy that you can kind of bring in and use him as a deep threat to kind of spread or be able to extend the defense or the offense on the football field and threaten the defense is what I'm trying to say. But so those are like guys that I'm really, really high on so far early on in this draft process.
What about I know you're not going to really like this guy because he's got short arms, but Jimmy wants to know about Peter Skoronski over at Plain.
Peter Skoronski, he's a guy that is, again, just like Rashawn Slater. He's projected to have 33 or 32-inch arms, which to me are guard arms, right? But just like Slater when he was coming out, I said that athletically, I'd give him a shot. I'd give him a shot to play left tackle, and then if not, then I'd put him left guard. Now, if you're the Bears and you say you trade down for in that 13 to 15 range, where I think Skoronski is going to go. You want to bring in Skoronski and put him at left guard, get rid of Whitehair and free up $9 million in the cap. Not that you need cap space, but you got more cap space. That could be one hell of a left side, guys. With Braxton Jones at left tackle, Skoronski at left guard, you sharp your center. And now you got Tevin Jenkins. Oh, there was one play, although I forgot to mention it through the highlights of Braxton Jones, of Tevin Jenkins that I wanted to highlight. If we have time, if we can bring that up real quick, it's the Washington clip, 228 in the fourth quarter. Just a second play on the Braxton Jones clip. If you can bring it up, great. If not, don't worry about it. But there's something that I just want to show you guys what I love about Tevin Jenkins. One of the things I love about Tevin Jenkins, and I think obviously he's a guy that was drafted here to play left tackle. I totally disagree with that. But I said that he was going to play a right guard or right tackle, and he's gotten better and better and better at right guard. And I think he is a guy that's also solidified. So if you have here's the plate. Yeah, here it comes up right now. All right, so watch.
I'm sorry. Which one is it again?
It's the 228 play number 2. Okay. 228 in the fourth quarter.
Coming up. It's after this run.
I highlighted on my sheet and I forgot to talk about it, but I want to bring up the play that Jenkins does here. It's nothing that's going to shatter or anything, but this is what I call looking for work. And when you scout offensive lineman, is he looking for work? So he's got no one there to block, right? Nothing. No, what he does, he goes, helps his offensive lineman, his teammate there, and wham, and just buries the guy. That's the kind of attitude. That's the kind of nastiness he brings, and that's what I love seeing with Tevin Jenkins. And you see on some of his run fits there, how he finishes some of his runs. I love it. And he brings that nasty demeanor, that attitude, and I love that. And that's he's settled in a right guard. That's why I'm saying he's your right guard. Does he have to get better in pass pro? Obviously, he's got to get better. He's got to work on his craft there a little bit. But that nastiness, that just I love that, and that caught my eye immediately when I was watching that tape. And that's what I like when I watch offensive line, when I scout him, I say, does he look for work, or is he just standing there? Hey, I got nothing to do. No one's rushing. I'm good. Let's go next play. No, he's looking for work. He's looking to help his teammates. And he just took and he put Tony, which was a Shaka Tony from Penn State, the rookie, put him on the ground there, buried him. And I just love that. And I wanted to highlight that and show you guys one of the things that I really, really appreciate about the way Tevin Jenkins plays offensive line in the NFL.
You think Jenkins should be moved to right tackle?
That's why I scouted him coming out of Oklahoma State. But right now he's playing so well at right guard. He's getting accustomed to it. If you move him to right tackle, then he has to replace him at right guard, right? And I think you since he's getting comfortable there, just let him sit there, let him get better there, let him just get his confidence going. And I think after this season, I think he comes in next season as you're starting right guard, assuming you go out there and you show up right tackle with a veteran or a draft pick, right? So I can he play right tackle? Yes, I think he can play right tackle in this league, but I like him at right guard right now because he's getting better, he's getting confident, and he gives that nastiness to the inside, and that helps the running attack, and it helps once he gets better in terms of his pass pro, that's going to help solidify that pass protection as well on the right side too. So yeah, I just want to point that out real quick about some of the things that Tevin Jenkins is doing.
Do you think it would be wise to take a look at Larry Borum at the guard position? Because isn't that where you kind of slated him when he was first acquired by the Bears?
Yeah, I saw more as a guard than I did as a tackle. Sure. I mean, if you want to give him a run there at guard, I just if you're going to move Jenkins to right tackle and put Gorman at guard, Borman at guard, now you're kind of messing with two spots when you kind of had only one spot you needed to take care of, a right tackle right now. So now you're kind of working with two guys. So that's why I'm saying like it just I would leave Jenkins there at guard. If you want in the offseason, say for example, you go out there and you get a high price veteran guard come play right guard for you. And you say, all right, Tim Jenkins, you're playing right tackle. Now you give him the whole offseason to kind of get accustomed to him playing there. I could see him playing right tackle for the Bears. Yes, that's where I had scouted him. That's where Neil and I have both agreed that he was a right tackle, not a left tackle.
All right, let's just get one more and we'll get you out of here. I know you got a 4 a.m. Call tomorrow.
Well,
So,
if I have people asking questions, I can stick around a little bit longer if they want.
okay, cool. J2K wants to know, have you taken a look at the right tackle Darnell Wright at Tennessee?
I've done some preliminary work on Darnell Wright. He's another kid that I'm going to be eyeing. I think he's going to, is it the Senior Bowl I saw him commit to, or is it East-West Shrine game? Senior Bowl, right? So that's a guy I'm going to keep an eye on. Yeah, Darnell Wright from Tennessee is a kid that does intrigue me as a right tackle prospect. J2K will definitely get into his his tape later on and have a full breakdown for you. But yes, I am intrigued by Darnell Wright from Tennessee.
A guy who I haven't seen any tape on, but I've started reading some articles on him is Gervon Dexter, and Donald wants to know, what do you think about him? Interior.
Gervon Dexter he's the guy from is it Florida State?
Yes, I think it's Florida State, interior defensive lineman, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, he's on my list. Him along with Van Ness from Iowa are next on my list to go ahead and hit up in terms of interior defensive lineman. So we'll take a look at him. We'll do a complete breakdown on him here coming up in the next couple of days.
Very good. Back to the offensive line. Leatherwood, Borum, or a draft pick free agent will start at right tackle next year. That's a question, and I think that's huge to see. Hopefully, Leatherwood gets more playing time over the next 4 games. He saw 10 plays against the Packers. I looked at some of the tape with Greg Gabriel the other day. There were some good things to report, but there really wasn't much in terms to really make a judgment as to where he's at right now. So hopefully they'll double that this upcoming Sunday. He'll get 20 plays so we can make a better decision. But what's your overall feeling about Alex Leatherwood?
Yeah, I mean, I like them come out of Alabama, guys. I like them as a left tackle, and then eventually when we went down to the Senior Bowl, everyone I talked to said no, he's going to play left guard. So I'm all right. So I could see him playing left guard, no problem. And then obviously went to the Raiders, 17th pick in the draft. Obviously that was a pick that was much scrutinized. Everybody thought he was overdrafted, whatever. And then I think just after that it was kind of downhill for him. I think he lost his confidence, got benched, and eventually got released. So he's another guy that's got talent. And right tackle could be a spot for him eventually in the future. So that's why I'm saying, if you're the Bears, you need to have an answer before you get out in free agency, and whether it's Jack Conklin, whether it's, if you want to bring Orlando Brown and flip him to the right side, if big money, those are big money guys, right? And, you're going to have to know what you got there on your roster. If you're Ryan Poles and you're Ian Cunningham and Brass here. So, I said earlier, if you shore up, if you tell me Stenner shored up, right? I think right guard and left tackle shored up, and you get an upgrade over Cody Whitehair at left guard. You bring in like a Riley Reif type, or even Riley Reif himself on another 1 year deal, and let him, him and Leatherwood battle for the right tackle spot. I think I'll be okay with that. Because I've liked how Riley Reif has come in and shorn up that right tackle spot. He's not what he used to be, right? But he's still a KG veteran who's getting it done, week in and week out, kind of like at a much younger age, kind of like Jason Peters from last year at left tackle, right? He came in, right off the fishing boat, literally off the fishing boat, and shored up left tackle for the Bears last year for most of last year. So wasn't all pro, but also wasn't getting you killed either. He was a guy that once he got into the groove, was solid, right? So I think that's the same thing with Riley Reif. So if you tell me you've upgraded at left guard, you've upgraded at center, and now you're bringing in Riley Reif and Alex Leatherwood to battle for right tackle, and you still got Borum as a backup, I'd be kind of okay with that. I want to see how that would play out. But obviously, if you're going to tell me right now Leatherwood's your starting right tackle, I have nothing to, like Aldo said, I have nothing to be confident about going into next year that Leatherwood's going to be your right tackle. Now, if you want to start him for the next 4 games and give him this like a little mini tryout, you can get some tape on him. I'm all for that. But again, I don't want that to cause Justin to get any more added pressure. So I think what they're doing is they're kind of rotating him in here or there. Tells me that they're not really sold on him in terms of what he's doing at practice. Could it be, is he still getting over his illness? He's still kind of trying to get back on his feet. So interesting what happens with Leatherwood after this bye here and how they utilize him. Are they still going to rotate him? Are they going to give him the shot to start? So it'll be another guy that I'm keeping my eye on too, for sure.
And he's a guy also that could be an option at guard. I mean, that was where he played best when he was with the Raiders, playing at that guard position. He's a really good run blocker, but as a pass defender, Alex Leatherwood, the tape that I saw of him with the Raiders, it was embarrassing how bad he was. I mean, he was being tossed.
You could tell he's a player. He lost his confidence. You could tell he lost his confidence. He was a player that just was out there going through the motions because he just had no confidence in his ability to do, what was asked of him to do. So, at times that was Jenkins. I mean, Tevin Jenkins, we saw it here, guys, put in left tackle initially out when he came off the injury, looked like, a deer in headlights, got benched, moved over to the right side. Didn't look like he really knew what he was doing. But the Bears stuck with him, and the Bears stuck with him. And I think now, he's obviously shown, he's comfortable, and he's getting much better. And I just showed like the little small clip there and just what he brings in terms of tenacity and a nastiness to the offensive line. I absolutely love. So that's why I'm really hesitant to move him off of right guard because I think he's getting better and better. I just want to see him get to that full level of how good he could be at right guard and just kind of, leave it there as well. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, Leatherwood definitely is a guy that he intrigues me. It definitely intrigues me. Like I said, I like them coming out of Alabama. And if he's out there and playing right tackle, and if he can shore that spot up, that's another guy that
huge.
Huge. You've got 3/5 of your offensive line shored up. And now you may have a center in Lucas Patrick. We'll see. And then you have, like I said, you have a guy there, Cody Whitehair, who's serviceable, but you can always upgrade over that too.
Mm-hmm. There was a question about who is the best free agent centers. And I know you probably haven't studied this, but Bradley Bozeman, who you and I interviewed down at the Senior Bowl, he's a free agent this year. Rodney Hudson is a free agent. Of course, Jason Kelsey is
he's probably going to retire. He's probably retire. He doesn't resign.
Yeah.
Do you have the spot track free agent list handy? If not, I can try and look it up here real quick because I can't remember.
I'll pop it up right now.
Yeah, the thing is the big question for me is Lucas Patrick. He to me is a center. It may be right. So is he? What do the Bears feel about him? Okay, do they feel like he can come back and play center? Is he a viable option? Is he just a veteran swing interior offensive lineman that can play both guard and center? I'm looking at your list here. So just trying to think here real quick. The guy that fits the scheme, but isn't really a great center is Garrett Bradbury from the Vikings. He's a guy that's athletic, but he's a guy that because he can move laterally. He's a guy that's tailor made for this kind of scheme. But I have Vikings friends who complain about him every day. So they complain some things I hear about him, but that we hear about Mustafa. He's getting bullied back into the backfield, into the lap of the quarterback. So he's not at the point of attack. He's not that strong and not stout. So I think that's one thing that. But he fits the scheme. So if we kind of move down here, the list there, if you have it, Aldo, see who else is available there. Kyle Fuller, didn't he play cornerback? Apparently, there's a center named Kyle Fuller. Interesting. Okay.
Never heard of him.
Yeah.
All right. It doesn't look like it gets much better after that.
It doesn't look like it's too. I mean, Matt Skura is a guy that can bring Connor McGovern. Hey, look at Sam Mustipher.
Yeah, he's probably.
I mean, Connor McGovern is a solid. I think also isn't the guy from Buffalo a free agent? I thought he was also might be available. And of course the name draws a blank now. But I thought the Bills center was possibly a free agent as well. But there are going to be guys you could probably find in the third or fourth round at center in the draft. They can probably bring in as competition for Lucas Patrick. So it's not something that I'm going to go and spend millions of dollars on in terms of free agency. Like again, free agency is going to be dedicated specifically for defensive line, defensive front. Possibly receiver wise, there's nothing out there. Maybe a tight end. Depending on what you want to do, a backup quarterback. right tackle, maybe possibly, and maybe a guard. If you're going to move Jenkins to right tackle, could we go get a right guard as a veteran? So the free agent money I think is going to be spent there. And plus, they got guys like Darnell Mooney. You got what are you going to do with David Montgomery? You got questions on the roster here. Chase Claypool. Guys, you're gonna have to probably re-up here. I think Jalen Johnson is going to be someone that they're gonna have to start talking about in terms of maybe locking up for the future as well. So, we'll see what happens here, but it definitely is going to be a lot of fun here as we start breaking down, like I said, both free agency and the draft coming up.
All right, so the last question is sort of a fun one. Travis wants to know that if the Bears traded back and acquired a number of picks, and then you're looking at maybe mid or late first round, Bijan Robinson is there, who appears by all accounts to be a sort of transcendent type of back, sort of a Saquon Barkley type of back. Would you consider drafting him for David Montgomery?
Okay, you guys know how I feel about running backs in the first round. I would not draft a running back in the first round, top 15. I just wouldn't do it. But I love Bijan Robinson. I absolutely love this kid. He's a game breaker. He's a guy that can run in between the tackles. He could kick it to the outside. He's a good pass catcher as well. But with all the holes on this roster, again, assuming we're not gonna put players here with free agency, assuming that it is the way it is right now. I just can't use a first round pick on a running back right now. I can give you a ton of other running backs that you can get in the third or fourth round. How about his teammate Roschon Johnson? He's a guy that looks pretty damn good as well. So Roschon Johnson from Texas is another kid that keeping up, but he's more of like a day three, probably late day 2, early day 3 pick. Kendra Miller from TCU, the nice, strong in between the tackles running back that's got pass catching ability. There's a ton of options you can get. Plus, you have Khalil Herbert here to probably start next year as your starter if you do lose David Montgomery. So, yeah, as much as I love Bijan Robinson, this is no knock on the kid or the talent. With the holes on this roster, it's hard for me to use a first round pick on a running back, and I think Bijan Robinson will go in the first round.
Yeah, I think he's more likely for a team like Philadelphia Eagles, who Miles Sanders is going to be a free agent next season, and so he would be an ideal replacement for Miles Sanders because now you don't have to pay Sanders the $10 million he's going to be seeking for in free agency. You bring in that rookie running back under a rookie contract. The Philadelphia Eagles are set for a long time. They've really done a fantastic job of getting that team back together again, haven't they?
Yeah. In terms of being flexible with the cap, using your draft picks wisely. They fell into Jalen Hurts a little bit, second round pick. And I know a lot of people weren't high on him coming out of college. I was one of them. I was not that high on him. You were. I will give you props. You were high on him. That really kind of set them because they were getting all this draft capital to make them run at a quarterback, and now they have their quarterback. They have all this draft capital they can play with now. That's one of the reasons why they probably went and got AJ Brown last year and used some of that draft capital to solidify that, bring that beast there on the outside. So. Yeah, just the way they're set up there with Devontae Smith and Robinson. Adding a Bijan Robinson to that offense would be crazy.
That would be wow.
But Miles Sanders is going to have a great year as a free agent. He already had a one knee injury, so they could probably let him walk and like I said, bring in a kid like Robinson or one of the other kids here. Gibbs from Alabama, another guy that's got some talent there as well. So. Philly's looking nice here going towards the future there.
All right, Danny, great job as always. We'll do another one of these right after the holidays, and then of course Draft on Tap will be resuming very soon. Draft on Tap with Danny, Neil Stopchinski. We're going to make some changes to the show that the three of us are discussing, and then we'll be presenting that to you. But you better believe it that we'll be covering all of the draft prospects that Danny and Neil feel could be of interest for the Chicago Bears. And this is, as Danny was saying earlier, this is going to be an outstanding offseason because there's so much money for free agency. There's so many roster holes. There's draft capital to be had. And so this 2023 Chicago Bears team is probably going to look a lot different. And so you can get answers here on players from Danny and Neil. And of course, Greg Gabriel will be involved in our draft coverage as well. You're the absolute best, man. Any final words?
No, I'm just excited, pumped up. Like I said, these final 4 weeks is going to be fun to watch. Again, nothing to play for in terms of record, but you know what? There's a lot to play for on the roster. You know, we just highlighted two of them tonight with Sanborn and Braxton Jones. But obviously the Justin Fields is above and beyond the bigger treat there. But we talked about guys like Brisker coming on at safety. It's good to have him back in the lineup tonight or this week. But there's some other young players to keep an eye on here. And then again, just heading into the future, what are you going to be looking for? Are you going to attack free agency, defensive line? You're going to do the draft. So, until all those answers, all those question marks are answered, we're going to be here talking about it. You believe it, on all of our shows, all of our, the whole entire platform is going to be Bears centric. I'm as soon as the season ends, we're going to be talking about free agency and then the draft and everything like that. So bring all those trades, bring all your mock drafts, and we'll go ahead and dissect them for you guys.
Sounds great. Take care, Danny. We'll see you all tomorrow. We've got a full slate of shows tomorrow. So just best way to stay on top of things is to subscribe to the War Room Network, and you'll get alerts whenever we have live programming. And of course, all of this stuff is on demand. So if you want to see if you missed the beginning of this show, people in the chat room, you can check it out on demand. It'll be there as soon as this broadcast ends. Take care, everybody.